Welcome to another episode of the Building Texas show from Hondo, Texas. I'm really excited to be sitting here with Fohn Bendele from Grassfield Farms and continuing to talk about what has created Hondo, what is the future of Hondo, but thrilled to talk to someone about ag and the farming and ranching heritage around Hondo today and what it's becoming in the future. So Fohn, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you're from Hondo originally.
Correct.
But your family has ties to the broader region around what I would say the Highway 90 corridor.
Mm-hmm.
What brought you to Hondo?
I guess sixth or seventh generation brought me here.
Yeah.
Born and raised here, born in the Hondo Hospital here, and as well as my wife. And my mom comes from the west side of the county, Dehennis, and my dad comes from Castroville on the east side of the county. So they met in the middle and raised us here in Hondo.
Well, that's fantastic. I appreciate that. Medina County has got a lot going on, and when you think of Dehennis, you think of Castroville. Those are ag cities. They've been built on farming and ranching for generations.
Yeah.
And you're continuing that heritage today, among all the other things that you do. But tell us about Grassfield Farm. What is that today?
So we're a small farm in comparison to farms today. And I tell people we farm and ranch like our grandparents did. We try to keep things simple and basic and keep the expenses down, and it actually adds value to our product. That's what a lot of people are looking for. They don't want the factory farm product. So so back in '08, we started doing farm to table.
Okay.
And invite people out to the farm and see how we raise our cattle and just make that connection with the consumer on where their food comes from. And so over time it's gotten more and more popular, you know, and it we actually sell our product at a little bit of a premium versus the commercial route, and less middlemen, which makes it more viable and sustainable for us.
So when customers come to you for beef products, is that primarily what you're selling?
Yeah, we started doing farmers markets.
Okay.
Right when farmers markets started to get popular, and then now we do direct delivery. People in Bernie, San Antonio area. We actually have a restaurant we sell to monthly up in Austin. Okay. That features us on the menu. But yeah, so we've migrated from the farm to table, or the farmers markets, to the online purchases. So people will buy a box of beef, kind of like ButcherBox and some of these big corporations do. But we're in control of everything but the processing, because it has to be state inspector. And we actually process in Castroville. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
And when I think about beef products like that, are they buying half a cow, quarter cow, or is it truly a box and kind of that finished product? Where's that happy medium?
Yeah, so we try to make it simple for the consumer. We process weekly, and we have 2 walk-in freezers that we control our inventory. And so the way we control the inventory is letting people purchase. We have things called like the tailgater.
Okay.
If you're going to go tailgating, we've got hamburger meat and bratwurst and that sort of thing.
So a bundle that fits the use case.
Correct. And then if you just want ground beef, we have ground beef. But we also raise pigs as well. So we have a sausage. It's a blend. We have a only pork sausage, and then we carry all the different cuts. And every week we post what we have in inventory.
And where do you post that? Where would somebody find Grassfield Farm?
So we have one wholesaler that we sell to that deals with the onesie twosies.
Okay.
And then on our website we have a few boxes that we can edit whether they're available or not available. Kind of like an Amazon purchase. There's 2 left and that sort of thing. So,
and my understanding in the beef industry is grass-fed has become this big term, but it's really about how you're finishing the beef. Or am I misunderstanding that?
Right. So grass-fed, most people that are educated, they want 100% grass-fed start to finish.
Yeah.
They don't want to buy a feedlot animal that's fed hay in a bunk feeder.
Yeah.
So yeah, we raise our beef start to finish. Our cattle, or I tell people there's three kinds of consumers. The ones that are environmentally conscious, they don't want confinement facilities and pollution and that sort of thing, and they call it food miles.
Yeah.
Trucking beef around, whether it's frozen or they're live animals being trucked around. Some are animal humane type animal conscious people. They want their animals raised humanely.
Yep.
In open pastures like God intended. And then you have the health conscious people, the ones that don't want their beef fed processed feed. So I tell people our beef is athlete beef. It's the cattle are out there hustling. They don't have a combine out there and a mill milling their meat for them or their grain for them. So
They got to work for it a little bit.
they have to work for it, exactly.
Well, and you've been in that business since 2008 timeframe, but I think throughout your life you've been in ag and seen this evolve.
Yeah, I grew up farming and ranching with my grandfathers and my dad, and as time went on, it got to be less and less profitable, and everybody said, go get a professional job. My grandmother always tells the story that if you want to farm and ranch, you got to have a job with shiny shoes.
Yeah.
And so we followed in those footsteps. We have some other businesses that we do, but we did want to make the farm as sustainable. We didn't want it to be a money pit. So it's sustainable today. It adds additional income to my family as well as my kids that are getting in the business with me.
And that's great to hear the heritage will continue with kids coming in, and what a gift for your family to be able to bring your kids into the family business that way. But I think about kids that haven't been able to have access to that farms and ranches, but they do have opportunities to go find that career and get involved in that career. And when I think of these rural school districts, it's a big part of what we're still teaching in school districts. Future Farmers of America, groups like that. A lot of us now, we associate that to the livestock show, but it's a way of life and still very relevant here in rural Texas.
Right. And I think having farms and ranches, surrounding the community gives all those young people opportunities. They can drive a tractor, they can haul hay, they can tend to the animals, they can build fence. If they're willing to want to get out there and
hauling hay will build a lot of character. I've done that a number of summers in high school, and I think that's about where it ended.
Yeah, it makes you appreciate
modern technology and lifting tools.
Exactly. Yes.
But what a great opportunity to get out there and see it and understand that it doesn't just come from the grocery store. You're raising it from the ground up, whether it's the hay or the cattle, and that full life cycle, I think, is often forgotten on people at all ages that just don't have access to the farming and ranching heritage and examples.
Yeah. Yeah, we're constantly educating our clients or our customers. Someone will call up and they say, they want a box of ribeyes. Well, there's just so many ribeyes on a side of beef.
Yeah.
And so we have to educate them that, we don't have a ribeye tree, that we grow ribeyes. We're experiencing a drought right now. So people say, hey, well, you have a shortage of inventory. And it's like, well, that's because we're not shipping it in from Argentina or somewhere like that. We can only sell what we can grow. So,
and that's okay. That's a natural gate a little bit, and hopefully encourages somebody to try a cut other than the ribeye.
Exactly.
That's part of the perk of buying in that bulk. You do get to use the whole cow,
right,
and understand that is the diversity of our food chain and what we're growing. Because if people just bought ribeyes, it'd be an unfortunate amount of waste.
It would be. Yeah, it's funny because like an osso buco, which is probably the cheapest cut there is, beef ribs. I've noticed in beef rib burgers, and these restaurants are charging premiums for it. And if you watch the cooking channel, you'll see some of these chefs that'll curate saying, "Hey, you can take these cheap cuts and make a gourmet meal out of it."
Yeah.
You know, so you don't have to buy the premium cuts to make a really good, unique meal. You know,
But the quality of the beef does make the difference. That beef rib becomes much better when the cow has had the experience that you're giving your herd, I believe.
yeah, I tell people all the time it's. Commercially, the beef that you buy at the grocery store, it kind of reminds me if you sent two twin boys off to college, and one sat in the dorm room with a keg of beer and pizza delivered, and the other was out there in athletic program. They come back at break, and one's going to weigh more. They're both going to weigh more,
Yeah.
but one's a healthier animal than or a person or. And so I say our cattle are all athletes. They have to go hustle.
They have to go work for it and make it happen.
They're not sitting there waiting for the feed truck to come by.
So you also have some other businesses in town, and to your point, it takes a number of revenue streams to make farming and ranching lifestyle really work in today's world. Cost of land going up, and then just the cost of processing and everything else that goes into raising cattle. What are your other businesses, and where would people find you and your family around town?
So my wife and my daughter have a candle business,
Okay.
and so we've found other ways to sources of income on the farm. So they host candle classes. They have a candle factory where they make candles and ship direct over Instagram, and they have some wholesale accounts. They have some boutiques even out of state that carry their candles that features Hondo, Texas on there.
That's right.
Hand poured, which is unique. And then our place is now a wedding venue. We've launched that in the last year. And then, you know, I've got a financial service business. So my kids are all insurance licensed, and we do some money management. So yeah, if you just Google Fohn Bendele or Grassfield Farm, I'm sure the Google will send you all our different ways. But yeah, it's been nice. It was good timing. My kids got out of college and wanted to move back, and I needed the help. And only in a small town could you start small businesses and network, and the community becomes your cheerleader. They just it's just small town is wonderful if you're wanting to be an entrepreneur. And you want to make a difference, and you reap the benefits of getting involved, volunteering, working at concession stands, whether you're going to church, all those things.
And your kids coming back and being involved. We talk a lot on the show, and across the life of our show, we've talked a lot about Boomerang talent, because it is, at 18, we want to leave small town. We're ready to go
see the world.
See the world. It's going to be better somewhere else. But then you have that realization, typically about the time you're having kids, that you had this great quality of life. You have this great opportunity to show the kids agriculture, ranching, farming, heritage. Mm-hmm. So for your kids boomeranging back, what's their experience? What brought them back? How do you engage in that conversation?
I think, it's having some ownership.
Yeah.
In their community or in their business, and they talk about it's a marathon. They have friends that will be in the big city that may be making more than they will right out of college, but they have no vested interest in a large corporation. They have no control over their destiny. They may have to be, relocated or laid off and those sort of things. So they see the big picture. I think the small town, it kind of reminds me of vacation. My dad always said the best 2 days of a vacation is the day you leave and the day you come home.
Yeah.
And I think when you move away, it's exciting. And then when you move back, it's exciting.
I would share, and that's my experience being Boomerang talent to my hometown. It's great to go see the world, but then you do realize the benefits of that community equity, that community engagement and involvement, and having people around that support you. And they do have that familiarity with your family, you're trusted, you're ready to go to work. Mm-hmm. And I see that happening across this part of Texas in particular, because people do want to come back to their roots. I think culturally and from a family unit standpoint, Highway 90 as a corridor would love to welcome those children back to their family homes, their family properties, and see it continue to grow. And I'm thrilled with what Hondo's focused in on. How do we do that? How do we make it available?
Yeah.
Where do you get involved in the community? How do you give back in those ways?
Yeah, I think that it's a great place to meet new people that are moving to Hondo.
Yeah.
It's a great place for new people that are moving, if they would get involved, whether it's through athletic boosters, working at concession stands, going to church, and just either it's easy if you're an extrovert.
Yeah.
But if you're an introvert, there's plenty of extroverts that are going to approach you.
Yeah.
And as long as you're open to meet them, it's a neighborhood, and the whole town. It's like not like the big city that you're living in a neighborhood and you don't know the neighbor across the street. You know everybody in town if you just get involved in any kind of social charitable organizations. Hondo's a wonderful place because you've got almost every denomination of church, almost every sport, and everybody's on the same team.
Go Big Blue.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's what I love about these school districts too, because there's a source of pride for the community around Friday Night Lights or around any of the athletic events that these kids are doing. But I want to take it back to your work and what the farms are doing, because there's a lot of people that thought ag kind of is a breed that might not move into the future, but that's a horrifying reality for me when it comes to the food supply chain, land management.
Yeah.
Farmers and ranchers are stewards in these communities, and they are really looking out for the lifestyle of their animals, the lifestyle of the land. This big resurgence in homesteading, where do you see that catching traction?
Well, when COVID hit, that was a shocker because there was not very many meat markets, and not many people want to process their own animals. And then all of a sudden, when the grocery stores don't have your meat products, for example, we got a lot of attention. People would see their neighbor grilling across the street. Where did you find that beef? And they were reaching out to us, and there was just so many people we could supply.
Yeah.
And we turned a lot of new people down. We said, we've got to take care of the ones that support us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people started to realize, hey, it is important. It's kind of like a small bank. You're not calling an 800 number. You know your banker. You know your farmer. You can survive. It's like the song "Country Boy Will Survive."
Yeah.
It's hard to survive when you don't know
when chicken
where you're
comes
going to
from
get
the
your
grocery store. It's
right where you're going to get your products exactly. So and it's fun. It's wonderful. It's who wants to raise their kids building a relationship on a video game or over a movie. You get them out there and learn how to have some skills. I always say a farmer and rancher has to be an electrician, a plumber, an engineer, because it entails all those skills.
A lot of innovation happens out of necessity. And when you're out far from the highway, far from your hardware store, whatever that might be, you come up with creative solutions. I grew up with some sheep ranchers, and I've done my share of sheep marking, but it's hard work. Yeah. And then you're dealing with the elements of it's hot in Texas, no matter what time of year it is. Yeah. And then you have snakes, you have everything else that comes with it. But kids that have the opportunity to grow up on those ranches doing that type of work have a whole different appreciation for it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been many of things fixed with baling wire.
We say it as a joke, but there's some still stuff hanging on by baling wire too.
I remember just wishing that something would break so I could quit.
Take a break.
And then my grandfather would get out there at baling wire and get it going again.
Yep.
It's like, oh gosh, really? I thought I was going to be able to quit for the day.
But that is the innovation. That is what drives a lot of, hey, we can do this a little bit better because of necessity. We had to figure it out. We had to do it differently.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that with our farming and ranching community that is often not remembered as entrepreneurial. They really are out there saying, how do we create value? How do we sustain it? And then my favorite part of farmers is the stewardship.
Yeah.
Because they're very much conscious of the land. You don't see a lot of overgrazing. And in fact, your neighbors will let you know when you are.
Exactly.
And that kind of behavior in a community like this is important.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's a sacrifice, but it definitely pays dividends. You're in control of your destiny. Yeah. We never go hungry. When we go out to eat, we eat seafood.
Yeah.
Because we get sick of beef.
You don't go to the steakhouse.
Exactly. Oh, we'd never go to the steakhouse. Yeah.
Are you unique in what you're doing as a farm, or do you see this movement towards the landowner really processing their own beef and selling it online? Is that a reality that we're seeing across your community?
It's funny what with the modern technology, you used to have 5 combines or 8 combines in the field. Well, the equipment is getting bigger and more expensive.
Yeah.
So what's happening is when a farmer retires or the kids don't have any interest in it, one farmer is able to operate more. So like anything else, automation equipment is replacing a lot of that. So yeah, we are a little bit unique. Actually, the folks that probably are doing more what we're doing didn't grow up on a farm.
Okay.
So they're smaller,
Yeah.
and they're more interested. They don't take things for granted, maybe like a farmer would, like a farm boy would.
This is the way we've always done it.
Yeah.
Kind of mentality.
Yeah. So we go to the city for the weekend and experience city life, and we come back to the farm, and the city folks come to the small town, and they want to experience farm life.
Yeah.
So that's why you're starting to see more homesteaders, and so the smaller ones are just providing for themselves.
Sure.
Maybe a little supplemental income. And then the ones that are farming and ranching are having to do the commercial route because the margins are so thin. And I think the reason we're more successful is we take a marketing approach. Farmers a lot of times are not the best marketers.
Yep.
They just want to be left alone. They just want to go out there and enjoy the peace and quiet. And it's hard to sell your products if you don't have some kind of a marketing experience. So, when you go off to college and you learn advertising and marketing, then you can apply that to the farm. So, there's some, but not many. They're sprinkled around kind of what we do.
Well, as a good entrepreneur, you have to do all of the things. Marketing's a big piece of it. How would people find you? Where would they come and engage with Grassfield Farm?
So a lot of people will Google us.
Okay.
I mean, we get our phone rings from all different area codes.
Yeah.
Because San Antonio is a military city, people will be stationed in San Antonio, and maybe they came from California or New York and they were stationed there. And some of those states have more farm to table. So they'll Google grass-fed beef, and then we'll pop up usually. And then we answer the phone. We have an honor market here in town. People will, I had a call this weekend from somebody out of state and wanted to know if we were open. And I said, we're open 24/7. I give them a combination to the door, and they go over there and they help themselves, and they leave a check behind. And we've once in the last 20 years have we had anybody that has abused the situation.
That's incredible, and I just have to ask more. What is an honor store? Honor? What did you call it? An
honor market. It's
an honor market. Okay.
Yeah, it's a dressed up storage unit.
Okay.
That's air conditioned. That has a freezer in there. That has some basic ground beef and breakfast sausage and that sort of thing. And there's an envelope that you can either leave your email, we text you an invoice. You can leave a check behind. You leave cash. We actually have a little change drawer there. A little
you can take
with
your
some
own
ones.
change.
Yeah, exactly.
I think people will be amazed that that's still happening in today's world.
Exactly. And somebody says, has anybody ever taken advantage of you? And I'm like, oh, if they have to resort to that, they need it more than we do.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a good mindset to have towards that.
Yeah. So.
And I loved what you said earlier about the candles, like hand poured in Hondo, Texas, and what a benefit for your city to be able to have that marketing that you're doing for them, because there should be pride in where you're from, where your infrastructure exists, right?
Yeah.
And you get to be a billboard that takes that out to the global market.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, people out of state are just, they love Texas. I mean, it's watch the news. They just love Texas. And then when you hear Hondo, Texas, that sounds like
it sounds like a fun place.
Yeah. Yeah. John Wayne movie, you know? So I laugh. There's a University Park in Dallas is where all the big names are. And we have our candles. It's like the Rodeo Drive of Texas or the Midwest. We have our candles there. And we laugh because it's one of the few things that the normal person could afford, you know, unless you want to have thousands of dollars to buy a handbag, you know.
Yeah.
So we do have our candles there, and we take great pride in that. And Dallas, Texas has got Hondo, Texas candles. So one of the most exclusive shopping areas. So.
But that's what makes it really fun when you're up there and you can see, or when someone randomly walks in and they're from Hondo and they can tie it back to, oh, I know these people. I know where this was done.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people with the air base, a lot of people were stationed here.
Yeah.
Older people remember it, or dove hunters know where Hondo's at.
Oh, yeah.
And so, it's a lot of fun. You know.
What do you see Hondo doing really well for itself today? Where are you finding excitement and enthusiasm for the future of Hondo?
I think with this airbase development, I mean, it's been that airbase has been developed over my whole lifetime, and it seems like with the rail yard moving in on the airbase, and now it has the infrastructure and the industry. It's the seed has been planted, so I see great opportunities. You know, it's not a bad commute for anybody.
No,
whether you're living a little bit out of town or living in town, you know, you're able to come home for lunch. How many people can drive home and grab lunch and get back to the place of work? So I think the airbase is a great place. You know, we still have a lot of raw land around here. So yeah, it's a great place, but I'm a little partial because.
Well, I say it often. It's a privilege to live and work in small town Texas, because you're not commuting into San Antonio. Because if you start to think about your quality of life, however you cut it, San Antonio is 35, 45 minutes away. You do that there and back, that's an hour and a half of your day, 2 hours of your day you don't get back.
No. And the traffic's getting worse.
Yep.
So, and I was thinking Hondo's, I mean, where can you live like within an hour? You can be in a city like San Antonio. You can be on a lake if it would ever go to raining again.
Yeah.
Rivers.
Yeah.
And within 2 hours, I mean, everybody wants to go to Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
So you can be in Austin in 2 hours. You can be in the Gulf of Mexico in 2 hours. You can be along the border and experience some of Mexico, or if you want to cross the border, you can do that. But yeah, it's just we're really close to pretty much anything that you want to do. You know, the hill country, you got wineries. We got Napa Valley, just, you know,
right around
Fredericksburg. Yeah. So.
Well, I appreciate it. I've grown up going up and down Highway 90, but it is always the challenge of how do you get someone to stop and look around. And I think operations like yours, the stuff happening at the airport, it does give someone pause to say, oh, this is an interesting place. What's going on here? And I see a lot of great people investing in how do we get people to take a stop, look around, and get to know Hondo differently than this is God's country, please don't drive through it like hell. I love that sign. It's internationally famous, but that is Hondo, Texas.
Yeah.
And there's so much more to it that I really want to encourage people to stop and get off of Highway 90 a little bit and explore what's here.
Yeah. I think technology today, I mean, when we travel, we go to Bernie or anywhere, I mean, go out of state, you can go to Yelp, and they really support small businesses. I mean, sure, you'll see the Starbucks.
Yeah.
But when you're near Hondo, you'll see the Silver Creek coffee shop and the barbecue place and that sort of thing. And so the modern technology has really helped small towns in that way.
Well, it is, but then it's the challenge of the learning curve for those small business proprietors to really embrace digital and figure out how to use it. And I think it's one of our opportunities to help through economic development corporations or through city infrastructure. How do you make that learning possible? Because it can be very intimidating for the business owners. It's been working for 30 years. The world has dramatically changed in 5 years.
Yes, and that's the advantage of having young people come back.
Yeah.
Because they go off to the college towns and they use that technology, or they learn it, either by experience or in classrooms. And then when they do come back, so it's been helpful having my kids come back. The candle business would have never taken off without Instagram and Reels and all those type of things,
Words you never thought about.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
What is the Instagram handle? How would they find the candles on Instagram?
Little Light Candle Company.
Little Light Candle Company.
Yeah, or Little Light Candle Co. It'll be my wife and daughter on there, curly-haired gal. And they post almost daily. And they do a lot of online sales, as well as picked up some wholesale accounts that way. And so, Grassfield Farm has a website that's not as active, just because we're limited on what we're able to produce in a drought. But just fun stuff, Well,
what is the website for Grassfield Farm?
So it's grassfieldfarm.com.
Okay.
And littlelightcandleco.com.
And you can search social media and find it on all of those platforms as well.
Yep.
What's your call to action for somebody watching this, whether they live in Hondo or somewhere else? What do you want to encourage people to think about?
I think that just supporting small businesses is huge. Finding something unique, whether it's for yourself or a gift to someone. It's easy just to go to the department store and grab something off that doesn't have a story behind it.
Yeah.
And small towns, small businesses, the ones that are thriving, have a story behind it, and everybody loves a story.
And that dollar goes so much further in a small business, I believe, back to the community, because small businesses are what's supporting your Little League teams or your school performances and all the things that really do build the fabric of the community.
Yeah, we have part-time help. We have people that are janitors at the school.
Yeah.
We've got a ranch hand that doesn't start till 10 at the school, and he's at our place from 7 to 8. He makes a little extra money, and he works on Saturdays. And if we have a wedding, it's and they're family.
Yeah.
They're treated like family. If they get in a bind, we're there to help, and they're always there to help us. If we get in a bind, you're not going to find that in the big cities.
No, but it is that heritage farming and ranching culture that created these small towns 100, 150 years ago around community of support.
Yeah.
You cannot go at it alone and be successful. So I'm thrilled to hear you mention everyone that goes into making Grassfield Farm or Little Light Candle Company thrive in the way that they are.
We do fight over employees sometimes in the hot summer sun when there's ranch work to be done. Shorty will be wicking candles in the air conditioned.
Yeah.
So
gotta look out for that.
We do have to compete over our employees a little bit sometimes. And I should have never trained him on how to help with the candle business.
Yeah, that does become problematic when the air conditioner gets involved.
They take priority over us, and I'm out there sweating. Well, but I enjoy it.
I imagine it beats going to an office every day.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And that's the other really nice thing about, you see your customers at the grocery store, you see them at the feed store, if you get involved, it's your natural market. Whether you know it or not, you're networking and building relationships and customers and employees and all that. It's a good thing.
Well, Fohn, it's been a pleasure to get to know you today and to talk about the work you're doing. Thank you for the heritage work you're doing. I do believe farming and ranching is making a comeback to people that have never experienced it before, but are out there really trying to say, how do I create independence, whether that's professionally or in their food supply chain or whatever it is they're trying to find independence on. Learning how to work with the land and everything related to the land does open up those doors, and you're a shining example of that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Grassfield Farms, Little Light Candle Company, for the way that you're both building Texas and creating a great future and promoting Hondo, Texas.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching the Building Texas Show. Be sure to follow us across all social media platforms and let us know what you like.